Hi there, and welcome back to No Textbook for Life. I'm your host, Malia Johnson, and today's episode is going to be a little different. I'm going to share some real life lessons from the month of September. And today was supposed to be a story on my mom's divorce and starting over at the age of 50. But there were several technical difficulties and we still haven't figured those out. So we had to pivot, and this is the episode that I'm going to air instead. So it kind of goes along with some of the disasters that have happened this month and how I've been able to learn and pivot and adapt to those situations. So like I said, this past month has been full of little disasters. Thankfully, nothing like insanely crazy, right? But sometimes it's just a lot of little ones can just lead to a lot of frustration. So, I mean, some of these disasters were kind of funny, but there's also one that's pretty heartbreaking. But as always, life has a way of sneaking in lessons if we pay attention and try to see some kind of positive in those trials. So today, I want to share the 5 biggest lessons September taught me, from chickens to bathtubs to sourdough starters, and what I've learned about patience, perseverance, and finding joy in the middle of it all. Because sometimes that is the hardest thing to do when facing a trial or affliction or just a hard time. And especially as a mom, I feel like we go through little disasters every single day, whether it's spilled milk or, yogurt in the carpet or some other kind of spill, broken item, or stain. So, life is what it is. And I always like to say, it doesn't come with a manual. You just got to go with what life throws at you. And it depends on you to decide how you're going to react. So let's go into lesson 1. So the first big thing I've been navigating this month is taking on a side job watching 3 kids. Okay. I offered a friend to do this so that she was able to carry out something she really wanted to do. And what this required of her was to be away from home Monday through Thursday for about 4 or 5 hours. So I told her I would watch her kids. And Monday through Thursday, I'm just home with my kids anyways. So at first, though, I was worried because being an eldest child, I don't know if this is other people's situation, but I don't love kids. I love my own kids and I don't mind other people's kids, but I have a hard time being able to hang out with other people's kids. So that in itself surprised me that I even offered to take the job. Mostly my fear in watching other people's kids is that their kids just won't like me. And, you know, also I had a fear of not being able to handle the extra responsibility with my 4-year-old and my 1-year-old, and with everything else going on in my life. But you know what? I've grown to love these kids even more. This is a friend who I became friends with her when she was pregnant with her 3rd baby, and now that baby is 2. And so I've been able to see these kids grow, and I've really come to enjoy them. We have a lot of fun together, and my 4-year-old is friends with the other 4, well, now she's 5-year-old. So they have tons of fun together, and I have realized that this is something I can do for the next 9 months and actually enjoy. The first couple weeks, I felt a little over my head, but found ways to sneak in a little bit of me time while the kids play because those kids have great imaginations and lots of energy. So honestly, they just together and they play, and I really don't have to do too much. So I've, brought over a little activity bag to their house, and I enjoy crocheting and journaling and just breathing for a few moments. I get to sit upstairs and just have a little bit of me time while the kids play downstairs and be as loud as they want. So I guess the lesson here is simple but important. Sometimes the things we're most afraid of turn out to be gifts. And like I said, this is something that's always been hard for me. It's been watching other people's kids, even my own kids. I get extremely overwhelmed and overstimulated, but there was one day that I didn't have them this week, and that was the worst day of the week for me. So I have felt stretched and seen a lot of growth. They teach me new skills, and kids can help us discover joy in unexpected places. So if life hands you a role you're nervous about, I suggest you lean into it. You might just surprise yourself like I did. So let's go into lesson 2. This comes from sourdough, which, okay, it sounds weird, but I don't know. Like, sourdough for me is something I really want to accomplish. And I know it has to start with a sourdough starter. This past week, not even a full week, I attempted 4 different starters. I am today years old when I found out you can make sourdough starter without a sourdough packet. 3 of them have completely failed. I mean, you know that feeling when you're determined and life just keeps telling you no? That was me and this dang starter. I haven't given up. Tonight I had to start a brand new one. I am determined to make it work. And the first starter, I say it could have been successful, but I will never know because my 1-year-old got into it and smeared it everywhere. I was trying to warm it up and left it in a place that she could reach. And yeah. Then the second starter was within 24 hours, it was moldy. Then my third starter, within probably less than 8 hours, it was completely separated. So I just started a new one. I am trying to make a sourdough starter from scratch. I actually just learned that I could make it from scratch with just flour and water. I don't know why I didn't realize that before, because that's what you feed it with. But I always thought you had to use a starter packet. And anyways, the lesson here, I guess, even though I haven't had a successful sourdough starter yet, I think the lesson here is about perseverance. Failure doesn't mean you're not capable, right? It means you're learning. Sometimes the process teaches more than the end product ever could. And maybe that's a bigger life lesson. Keep trying, keep showing up, and don't be afraid to fail. So far, right, like I said, I am on my 4th starter in just a few days. And, what if I end up making the best sourdough ever and become famous for sourdough? I won't know unless I keep trying. I'm not saying that's super, likely, but it's possible, I guess. So, each failure is shaping your skill, your patience, and determination. So that is the lesson here from Failed Sourdough Starter. And like I said, sometimes you can find a lesson in almost anything. It just depends on how you react to it. And I'm reacting by trying again. So we'll see. Hopefully I don't run out of flour by the time I get a successful starter. All right, lesson 3. This lesson is about persistence, specifically with my mom's podcast. Like I said, we've tried to record her story twice now, and both times the app crashed, which has never happened to me before. This is totally frustrating. But here's the thing. Each time we've tried, the answers to my questions get better and better. My mom basically has had 2 trial runs with this podcast trying to tell her story. And it's a story about resilience and integrity and determination. That's why I want to share it. But I just don't know what is going on. I've tried so many different ways to get this video going and complete, and just hasn't happened yet. But it reminded me that setbacks aren't the end of the story. Sometimes what looks like a failure is really practice for something better. Like I said, my mom's had 2 trial runs, and her answers get better and better every time she has to do this. And that's a lesson I think applies to all of life, whether it's school, work, parenting, or hobbies. The first attempt isn't always perfect, and that's okay. That's most likely what's going to happen. It is what it is. The process itself is teaching you, refining you, and preparing you for success. So, to find a positive out of this, we're hoping that my mom's answers can be more refined as we fail to get this podcast fully completed. And maybe something she says is something that another person needs to hear. Because starting over after a 28-year marriage and in your 50s is something that is really hard. And I have been basically like a spectator through this whole transition, and I've seen how hard it is for her, and we're hoping that her story can either inspire or support somebody else going through the same thing, or just needing kind of a push towards the right direction. So here we go. Lesson 4 comes courtesy of my husband, who is slightly clumsy. And probably a week ago, he slipped in the tub. Okay, and he put his foot right through the side of it. So now not only do we need a new tub, but we've never replaced one before. He also cut his foot open, but he is okay. And I will say also that the tub was already there when we moved into this house, and it was kind of DIY'd as well. And it wasn't done great. So this is an opportunity for me to renovate the bathroom. And, it needed a new paint job anyways, and we're going to get a brand new tub instead of this plastic one that doesn't seem to hold up. We've decided to go the porcelain route. But like I said, we have never replaced one before. So my husband, he did a ton of research. He watched YouTube tutorials and realized it was going to be way harder and a lot more expensive and take a lot longer than he thought. And we only have one bathroom. We live in a small home. We got one bathroom, one toilet, one tub, and 4 people. So it's not like we can wait for this tub to get fixed in a week or 2. Luckily, he was able to patch the hole temporarily and just enough time, give us enough time to look for help. So we asked for help on a local Facebook group around here, and someone actually responded. They'll help us install the tub if my husband can return the favor with his electrical services. And this is why I love trades and why I think it's called trades. My husband is able to use his knowledge and skills to help somebody bring power to a room that has no power, and they are able to use their knowledge and skills to help us with this plumbing incident. So we're super grateful about that because it was going to be almost not really possible for us to do at the moment. And, this is a simple story, but the lesson is huge. You don't have to do everything alone. And my husband is someone that would rather try to do it alone. But community, resourcefulness, and even bartering are incredible tools. Asking for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom, honestly. This trade and barter system is one of my favorites because it's, important. I did a little bit of photography and I remember switching or swapping photography skills. I would take another photographer's family photos and vice versa, right? So that's trades. Well, trading services. So, and sometimes working together creates real connection and teaches us new skills along the way. I'm hoping that my husband will be able to learn how to replace a tub. And if it ever comes up again in the future, he'll just know how to do it. That brings us to lesson 5. This morning, we lost a chicken. This is our 4th chicken in the last year and a half. And of course, the predators must attack the best egg layers because they have gotten all of our girls that would lay daily. And now we barely get any eggs. What sucks is that my 4-year-old actually found our dead chicken and she got shredded by something. And of course, it was one of our favorites. And it sucks to lose an animal. Even if they're chickens. She's also one of the first chickens we've ever bought. We bought 6 of them about a year and a half ago, and there's only 2 left now. Each one has been so dear to our hearts, and finding them injured or gone has been traumatic. We've been fortifying the coop. We have an Aussie Doodle, and he's really good about patrolling the yard and chasing away anything that might come near or harm our chickens. But the last couple weeks, my daughter's been kind of she's scared of the dark, and so she has found comfort in having our Aussie Doodle Duke sleep with her. So he's been stuck in the house the last couple weeks, and I don't know if that's what's caused a predator to decide they could come and take our chickens. But it has been honestly awful. This morning when my 4-year-old came running to the house and she said, "There's a dead chicken." I was like, not again, right? Like, we just fortified the coop. We have bird netting. It is completely surrounded by fencing, and it's like, I don't know. There shouldn't have been a predator in there. And I wasn't expecting any more dead chickens. So, I mean, I guess sometimes life takes what you love. And the lesson here is about resilience. Even when you can't protect everything, you keep showing up, you keep caring, you keep learning how to do better next time. You know, grief, even in small forms, it does teach empathy, patience, and strength. It reminds us that life isn't perfect, but still worth engaging with fully. And these chickens have taught us to love and just be grateful for them, because they give us eggs, which is a great source of protein and can feed a family, and our kids love it and my baby loves it, and it's so much better than a store-bought egg. And so we've really come to appreciate them and to love them and care for them. So when one of them is gone, it does feel like a pet has died, and it's not fun. So it sucks sometimes, especially when you just don't expect it, and death is usually unexpected. But it is what it is. So those were the 5 lessons September taught me. And even though it seems like a lot of little disasters has happened this month, I've actually enjoyed this month. And I guess it just, maybe my attitude has helped find the joy in little things to kind of help off-put the disasters. So to review those 5 lessons: number 1, leaning into new roles even when you're scared. 2, perseverance and determination in the face of failure. 3, persistence through setbacks. 4, community and asking for help. And 5, resilience when things are lost. Life doesn't come with a textbook, but every messy, frustrating, beautiful month has lessons if we're willing to see them. And not only month, but every week, every day, every hour. I feel like there is something to learn. I would also love to hear from you. What does September teach you? Comment, share, or reflect in your own journal. And remember, the video version of this episode is on Modern American Mama YouTube channel. There's a lot of usually bonus content on the video version. However, if you love audio, we are on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and YouTube as well. So you have survived another episode of No Textbook for Life. See you next time for more lessons school didn't teach us.